Hello, this is Tracy Sipple, TheraWeb Clinical Manager for Therapy Source. Today I want to show you how to interact with some of the materials we have in the Learning Center or the Resource Center. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to call up some of the files that I have, and I want to show you some activities that you can do with these. Now I'm only going to demonstrate a few of them, so if you run across a material and you're wondering how you could interact with it or how you could use it with a student and adapt it to whatever goals you're working on, please email me and I'll be more than happy to go through that and either contact you directly or send you an email to provide some information about it. One of the materials that I have chosen through the Resource Center, it's called Tic Tac Toe, and basically it's in the articulation part of the Resource Center, and it works on the B sound. There are other ones that work on other sounds, but I just chose this one at random to kind of go through with you. For example, if you wanted to use this for Tic, you could. If you wanted to use it for language, you could do that as well, because you could have the student have to make up a sentence using the word or explain what the word means. So let's say you're going to play this with a student, let's say the student has to say the word 5 times, and then they can cross it out or they can put their shape on that square. Let's do crossing it out. So to do that, what you would do is, since you're sharing it, you should have your toolbar up at the top left corner, and you can choose to use the line to make a crisscross, or you could do a circle or a square, whichever is easier. If you want to do the traditional, you could do the line to make the X, and then also use the O for the opponent. So here's where you can change the color. Let's say they don't want to be blue, they want to be yellow. Okay. And again, they're going to use the line instead of the pencil. You could use the pencil if you wanted to. So the student uses the word bat appropriately, so then we're going to draw a crisscross or an X across the bat. That's kind of hard to see in the yellow, using that yellow. That's okay. And then let's say it's the other person's turn. They're going to use O's, and you don't have to change colors as long as you have different shapes. You don't have to be different colors. Otherwise, that's up to you. And let's say the person uses the word bike in a sentence. Now notice the circle isn't completely in the square that I want it to be in. So to move that, I'm going to go over here to the select tool, click on that. You notice it's highlighted now. Then I can click on that circle, and if you notice there's a blue square around it now, that means I can manipulate it. I can move it, but I can also make it bigger or smaller by dragging a corner. Okay. So if you're not familiar with that ability, I suggest you go in and give it a try. Like I mentioned, you can also use the pencil, and you can draw the X that way. That's fine too. Let's say they take a turn and they're not supposed to because it's not their turn. You can always delete things. Now you can use the eraser, but that will delete everything, okay, that has been drawn on there. So let's say I do that. Notice the X's and the O's are gone. Okay, so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to draw, well, let's use the line. We'll just do a line, and we're going to do a color we can see a little better. Okay, so this one. Let's say the student wasn't supposed to take their turn yet. What you can do to delete parts of what are things, individual characters that are on the page or individual drawings, whatever the case may be, is you would click on the select tool, and then you would click on what you wanted to delete. And now it looks like I'm going to delete the whole X, but it doesn't. It just deletes one part that I made. So I highlighted it, so I clicked on the part I wanted to delete, which is this line right here. And if I click delete, it's gone. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and it's gone. Okay. You can also have students make up stories using the words, have them find 3 words in a row and use all 3 in a story. You could use this for identifying same and different, comparing, contrasting. Your creativity is basically, you can do whatever you want with this in terms of articulation or language. And there are a number of different cards. And if you notice, the slides are shown, or the pages are shown on the right-hand side of the screen, and you can go from one page to the next by clicking on them, or you can go from one page to the next by clicking the arrow at the bottom. Okay, all right. So I'm going to stop sharing this one. I'm going to find a different one. Let's use, this one's fun. This is called the dot game. And let me explain this because I'm not sure. I know one of these has directions with it in the Resource Center, but it doesn't look like this one has it attached. So when you're playing the dots game, this one lends itself really well to articulation therapy, but you can use it for anything. It just goes a little faster. You are allowed to draw a line between two dots. So I'm going to click, I can click on the pencil and do it, but again, I like straight lines, so I'm going to use the line, and I'll be red. And I can draw, when I take my turn, after I earn my turn, I can draw a line between two dots. You can't skip a dot and go like this. You have to go between one dot and the one next to it. You can only go vertically like this or horizontally like this. You cannot go diagonally. That's a no-no. All right. So when it's your turn, you draw a line, and then let's say the other person's using blue, they can draw a line. And you can draw lines anywhere as long as it's between two dots and it is either vertical or horizontally drawn. Eventually, the dots will become full of lines, and it will be difficult not to create squares. Okay? So the object of this game is to get 4 lines connected to create a square. Whoever draws the 4th line and closes the box or closes the square gets the point. So let's say blue took his turn. Let's do red again and say, what I recommend when you play the game is you start drawing lines all over the place. You don't want to go next to any others if you can avoid it, because you might give the opponent the opportunity to earn a point. But just for sake of demonstration, let's say blue goes again, and let's say I decide I'm going to draw a line here. And let's say blue goes again, and I'm going to take my turn and draw a line here. Only because I wouldn't normally do it this way, but we'll pretend all the other dots have lines between them. And then it's blue's turn, and blue goes, oh, look at this. I can close this box. Because blue drew that 4th line and closed the box, blue gets the point. And let's say blue would be me. So I put my initial in the box, and that's my point. And then I have to go again. Whenever someone closes a box with that 4th line, they have to take another turn. There's no passing. There isn't any skipping a turn. Usually, by the point that you're closing these boxes, when you have to take another turn, it sets the other person up to get points. So that's why somebody might say, well, no, I don't want another turn. I'm good. And it's like, nope, you have to take another turn. That's the rule of the game. So once all the dots are connected and every box that can be created has been created, you count the number of initials in the different boxes to see who has the most. And the person with the most points or the most squares is the winner. It's a fun game. Older kids enjoy it. Probably takes a little more patience than some kindergartners or potential first graders might have. And this is a shorter version. I have another one in the Resource Center that's actually a larger page with more dots for older students or for additional practice. And if you don't finish it within one period or one session, you can, I just called up a different one here because I was trying to save the other one, and what I was trying to do didn't work. What you can do to save this and be able to use it next time is take a screenshot. If you're not quite sure how to do that and you need to, let me know. Maybe I'll make a demo on that too. But anyway, you would take a screenshot of that, save it as a PDF, and then you can call it up in your files again next week and continue on. So it's nice to know that you don't have to finish it in one sitting. If you do, great. So, all right. I'm going to share another application with you just to give you another idea here. This one is actual game I created, and let's say I wanted to see it closer because the squares are pretty small. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this tool in the upper left-hand corner, but it has a magnifying glass with a plus and a magnifying glass with a minus. So you can make your image bigger or smaller, or you could fit it like it would fit on the screen, like when you first call it up. All right, so if you want to play this game, you're going to need something that the student can use to know how many spaces to move. So a lot of times I like to use a super duper dial, or what's the word I'm looking for? Spinner. You push the button in the middle and the light goes around, and it lands on a 1, a 2, or a 3. So what I would do is I'd push that and hold it up to the camera, and then they know how many spots they get to move. And to decide, to use or have pawns available for this game, what I suggest is one person be a rectangle and another person be a circle. And they can be the same color because you're different shapes. Or if you want to choose different colors, that's fine too. Now notice this popped up here, so I'm going to take the pointer or select tool, click on it to get that square around it, and then I can move it down. Okay. Now the game board tends to jump a little bit sometimes when you do that because it's not all on one screen. If that happens, I just click on the background of the game or somewhere on the game, and it keeps it from jumping up and down then. Okay. So let's say the rectangle takes a turn and they earn a turn and they spin a 3 or get a 3. So then what we do is click on the rectangle and it turns blue, which means I can move it or I can make it bigger, smaller. So let's go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so rectangle would be right there. And then it's red's turn, and I'm going to click on the circle or the oval, and they get a 2, 1, 2. And you continue on the game this way. Typically, you'll finish the game in one session, but if not, you can do the same thing. The only thing being is when you take a screenshot, the circle and the square won't erase. If you try to click on it and erase it, it won't work. So you might just want to pick up where you left off, and then you'll have to ignore your circle or your square wherever they are as you move along in the game. But it's doable. So, and in this game, whoever, following the directions on any of these squares, if you land on them, whoever gets to the sun first wins. All right, that's that one. Let's see what else I can share with you here. I also have some PowerPoint type of books available to share with you. And these are nice. This one's about prepositions. And again, to turn the page, you can either click on the items on the side, the slides on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, see, this is kind of big, so I'm going to shrink it down. I could just do this, and it would make it fit the screen. Or you can use the arrows just below the picture or the page that's on the screen, and that'll turn the pages as well. Okay. One of the points I wanted to make is look through the materials in the Resource Center before choosing one to work with a student, just so you familiarize yourself with what it is capable of and how you might want to use it to meet the objective that you're addressing. Some of them, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, you have to kind of adapt them. For example, there's one material that I have in there that is probably 15 slides long, but every other page is actually material that you can use. It's like a worksheet, and then every other page from those are the answer pages. So you wouldn't want to just be calling up, the answer pages beforehand as you're going along through. So that's why it's important to familiarize yourself with how the actual material looks on the screen, how you interact with it, that type of thing. So, and let me see if there's one more or not. And some of them, materials are just more for informational purposes too. So that's another reason why to consider um, looking at it and ahead of time. All right, so here's an I Spy. And what we're going to do is take turns. And you would find something within this picture and give that child or student clues, and then vice versa. So this is a great language activity because you're describing, you're having to compare and contrast to identify what particular image you're supposed to be looking for. For example, here's a cat and here's a cat. Well, this one has a curly tail, this one has more of a straight tail. So there's some overlap with these items, and they have to pay close attention to either what you're describing or how they describe it to you. So another example would be a bird in the nest, and here's a bird. There's probably some other ones in this picture somewhere too. So anyway, once you find the picture, you can use the pencil tool if you want and circle it. So I'm gonna, let's see, I found a camel. Okay, let's say I had to find the camel, or let's say I'm looking for a leaf. Oh, there's 2 leaves. If you want to do, they can find all the leaves. Okay, so there's one there. Just kind of have to know ahead of time how many there are altogether, so you know how many to tell the student to look for if they're asking. So, all right. Well, I hope you found this tutorial or demonstration helpful. I recommend practicing with materials. If you can go in and into that practice room that you were assigned in the beginning when you first started with Therapy Source and TheraWeb, because that'll offer you the opportunity to call up multiple materials and actually interact with them to see what you can do with them. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're not sure how to use a particular type of material, or all the different things you could use it for, email me. I'm happy to answer any questions, and that's what I'm here for. So, and if you have any particular questions about therapy, speech and language therapy itself, I'm available for that as well. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day.